Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, maybe. My name is Vanessa Vasquez, and I am your Lima City tour guide. Well, it is a pleasure to have you in Lima every time I am taking you to different places in the city. And also, well, today, as a part of the celebrations for the month of love, for February, for tomorrow, also Valentine's Day. I would like to show you a bit about, other side in Lima that you haven't seen before. This is a very, very beautiful, very romantic space in the city of Lima. It's one of the 43 districts of Lima, Pueblo Libre. And today we're going to talk about, the lives of two of the most important liberators of South America and, their relation with this part of the country, with Lima, and in particular with this district, Pueblo Libre. Well, we are going to now begin our tour, of course, with the oldest part of this district, the oldest element, historic element of this district, and it is right behind me. So I will flip the camera to the other side, and in this way, you can start also learning more about this district, about its history, and later we're going to talk about, these liberators and also their role in the creation of this part of the city. But most importantly, we're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about the secret relations of these liberators, and where their loves, the loves of their lives, and what is the connection of these men with this part of Lima. So we are at the oldest part of the district of Pueblo Libre. Pueblo Libre district is one of the 43 districts of the city of Lima. I am in the capital of Peru. We are in South America. So this district was originally named differently. It was the Old Magdalene, and the Old Magdalene changed its name thanks to Liberator José de San Martín, the Argentinian liberator San Martín. And San Martín decided to rename this district after the name Pueblo Libre, because Pueblo Libre means town of the free men, free people. The idea of renaming it was also to commemorate the actions of the local people during the defense of the city against, the Spanish, let's say, troops that were here, and also in the participation and the support for, the liberation of the city. So we have here in front of us a cross that is known as the most sacred cross in the district, the most important also religious object we have in this district. The name of this cross is the Cross of the Traveler, or Cruz del Viajero. So as we get a little bit closer to the name of this cross, you can also see the name in Spanish, Santísima. So very, very holy. Santísima is very holy. Cruz del Viajero, Cross of the Traveler. So the crosses of the travelers were put in every town at the entrance of the town, say close to the main road into the city. Doesn't matter like what type of city it was, small or big, with the intention of, first of all, allow travelers to say a prayer, thanking God for arriving to the town in good health, and also with the same intention every time the travelers departed and continue their trips to a different location. So we know that either San Martin and Bolivar pray in front of this cross upon their arrival to this town of the Old Magdalene, Magdalena Vieja, that's the name, the original name of this town, and also the same at the time they left. They didn't live in the same time in this city, but they came like one after the other. Also, I will be explaining also this in detail a bit later. So, As you can see also, it's very well taken care of. Peruvians are very devoted people. 80% of the population of Peru is Catholic. So now we will continue and we're going to walk a bit along some of the streets, the oldest streets of this district. And first I would like to tell you that this zone is considered a middle-class district. It's a middle-class district, very, very beautiful. As you can see, we have lots of green around. Something that is not very common seen in Lima, especially because Lima lays in the desert. So districts like this one, middle class, not so expensive to live in, and well, having like so many parks and holding so much green, they are quite unusual in the city. We are approximately more or less 5 kilometers away the historic center of Lima, the old town. And before the arrival of the conquistadors, we know there used to be also a community of people here in this location, a big group of indigenous. Actually, the whole valley of Lima was all populated by many, many people at the time of the arrival of the conquistadors. So the leader of this location, the leader of this town, his name was Taulichusco. So Taulichusco was ally to the conquest of Pizarro, of Conquistador Pizarro. Maybe the first story of romance could be the one of Pizarro with a very young girl, Inés Huaylas. Well, that was her Christian name. It seems that they had, of course, initially an advantageous union for both sides. But we know also that they had a long relation and they produced 2 children. And at the end of their relation, they decided to separate. She remarried or united with another man that was also Spanish. So in that sense, Pizarro was not, let's say, that classical, macho man who didn't allow his former lover or woman to remake her life. So they had a very good relation so far we know, and they produced, as I said, 2 children. These children, mestizo children, mixed blood children, they are also known as the first mestizos of our history. So at the time of the arrival of the Spanish, the indigenous of the Valley of Lima were very well organized. The system that was used in this part of the country of, let's say, organization was sort of like by señoríos or lordships, and each portion of the valley was run by an authority. So the authority, the main authority of the valley, basically, besides administrating and controlling everything related with, for example, the taxes that had to be paid to the Incas and later to the Spanish, this person administrated the water. Okay, so that was the most important thing for this, let's say, the most important job, basically, of this person, because we are in the desert. So being this valley mainly a desert, water, administration of it, canalization of it, the cleaning of the canals, they were all man-made canals, all the ones we had in Lima, and we still have some of them here. So, well, the role of this person was keeping everything running, all the water running, right? So why I'm saying a bit about this man, Taulichusco, the person who administrated this portion of the valley, because Taulichusco owned all of this land over here. All of this territory was owned by that person who was a big, as I said in the beginning, ally of Conquistador Pizarro. We can speculate that they had a very good friendship, and seems that at the end, of course, as a reward of this collaboration, Pizarro also received from Taulichusco, a man who in a way betrayed the Incas. But well, we cannot say basically like it was a real betrayal, because the community of Lima had a different tradition than the Incan tradition. The indigenous of Lima actually were descendants of the Ishma culture, a group that was conquered by the Incas about 70 years before the arrival of the Spanish. So they were subjects of the Inca, but more like by force, basically. No, so when the Spanish came, well, seems that these people said, well, better I create an alliance with the Spanish, and in that way I can keep my status, my let's say wealth, also my prerogatives, everything that belongs to me is going to be kept. And that's what happened, actually. The Spanish conquistadors didn't took away from this important men that supported them during the campaign of the conquest. They didn't took away from them their status. They didn't pay tributes. That's something very important. Indigenous had to pay tributes unless these indigenous were noble people. So, well, first, before we talk about this beautiful church you are going to see in a moment, I would like to keep honoring Mr. Taulichusco here. So, Gonzalo de Taulichusco. Well, this man was the son of the Curaca Taulichusco, who was the person who met Pizarro. Well, Taulichusco's children and descendants continue having a very close relation with the Spanish, so much that, for example, this land that belonged to them was given away to, well, in this case, to a religious order, the Franciscan order, and here was created like a reservation, basic, or reducción, we call it in Spanish, of indigenous. The reducción of the Magdalena, okay? So, well, a little, let's say, legend here, Gonzalo Taulichusco. This is in homage of the cacique. Cacique is a local governor, descendant of the Ishma, say, people. And also he gave away to the Viceroy, Andrés Hurtado de Mendoza, part of his lands for the construction of the church, Santa Maria Magdalena, which is the one you're going to see in a moment. He was also baptized under the Catholic doctrine by Franciscan missionaries. So there you have the reason why it was so close to the Franciscan, let's say, community, the Franciscan, let's say, brotherhood. And well, he passed away in the year 1565. Okay, so he was buried, by the way, under the main altar of this church that we are about to see. So this is the church of Santa Maria Magdalena. Is, as I said before, a church that was, the land at least, donated by Taulichusco, and is the place where so many love stories also have taken place. So many beautiful marriages, weddings have taken place in this church. Also, a couple of things to be noticed is, for example, over here, in this corner, which nowadays has, well, it's like a hall that is used by the church, is where the cemetery used to be. The City Hall Cemetery, the municipal cemetery, was in this location. Of course, the bodies have been relocated, moved away, but we're talking about burials that date back to the 16th century. Also, a very, very old burial site. You can see also here the image of San Martín de Porres, Saint Martin of Porres, one of the most beloved saints of Peru, the first Black saint of America. He was born in Lima. And well, we love him very much here. Such an important and empowering also figure for the Afro-Peruvian community. By the way, if you have questions, please let me know them on the chat. The chat is permanently open, is activated, so you can also use it, leave a question. So no worries. I will be checking them also in some few more minutes. So here we have the facade of the church Santa Maria Magdalena, and I have an image to share with you. I hope my images are working well to share. So yeah, excellent. So, okay. So this is a picture of this church back in the 1800s. So well, you can see that, of course, there is a development in the section already in that picture. You can see also some buildings, some houses in the neighboring area. And also another thing you can see is that there are some important renovations, of course, or changes done in the original facade. For example, those pointy bell towers, we don't have them anymore. Nowadays, the church looks more like Baroque or more inspired in the Baroque style, but this is a renovation from the 20th century. Okay, so, and also you can see the cemetery right next to the church is still there. So let me now remove the picture. I see also there is a question here. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes, exactly, Aline. Very, very beautiful church. And also another thing that is, I consider it a highlight of this church is that, well, this church is the oldest church standing in Lima that was built outside the city center. I'm trying to look for a very nice view, another nice view of the facade, so you can see the bell towers. So we're talking about a church that was built, as I said before, in the times of Taulichusco. So this is the 16th century. Well, the Franciscans used this church to re-educate the indigenous of the community, to be able to teach them about, well, the new forms of life and introducing them into the faith, into the religion. So in that sense, the religious orders also were very important for this re-education of the indigenous. So these reservations, as you will call it, we don't use the word reservation, we use reducciones. These were like reduced spaces where indigenous were living within. So over here, we can see the parroquia. Nowadays, the parroquia still is in use, like a parish, I think you will call it. This is the office of the church. So if you want to get married, for example, so you come here, you present your documents, you have to talk to the priest also. And this is, by the way, one of the most requested churches we have in Lima to get married in, because it's very pretty inside. It still has also catacombs, this church, but it's not anymore under the Franciscan control. It's nowadays the Augustinians are now taking care of this church. So let's give a look across also. A little bit of the architecture across is old, like for example, this beautiful house over here. And well, this is the type of architecture that was very typical in Lima at the end of the 19th century. So this is basically what we're starting to see is the Lima of the Liberators. No, sorry for this quite long introduction to the history of Pueblo Libre, but I think it was necessary for us to understand like where we are, why this place is so important. Also, the history of the church is quite interesting. So this architecture you see here, which is 19th century, early 19th century style, is what we call a rancho. Okay, so we have ranchos in the oldest districts of Lima outside the historic center, because the historic center has a peculiar, unique architectural style that is very like magnanimous and big, and houses look like palaces. And but outside the city center, life was very quiet. Basically, outside the city center, we had a lot of haciendas. So most of the people who live in the haciendas were either the owners of the haciendas, or people who were like related with the hacienda lifestyle. And later on, as Lima started to continue growing, downtown Lima became so packed, so you know, like so full of people that finally, well, some families started to leave the historic center in direction to more quiet towns. So this was one of the first spaces that was taken by families who were escaping from the crowds of Lima. We have a very old building also here, Taberna Queirolo. The old Taberna Queirolo. Tavern is like a bar where you can try pisco, the Peruvian brandy, and also all different kinds of cocktails and foods. So I will go across. Now I can go across. I hope nobody's going to hit me. Okay, so Taberna Queirolo, by the way, has still that old air, that old style inside of these old Italian bars. So Queirolo is also the last name of an Italian family, immigrant family, who decide to move to Peru during the time of the guano boom. The boom of the guano was one of the most important economical, let's say, sort of like forces, no, that improve or motivated the improve of the economy in Peru. Guano is poop of seabirds. Okay, so the poop of the seabirds, the excrement of the seabirds, was a great fertilizer, and that also made Peru at some point in our history a very rich country, because if you think about it, like not so many nations in the world could live out of guano. I'm sure like there's seabirds along all the coasts in the world, but we have a very interesting characteristic geographical and climatological element that helps us to build a lot of guano. And that is that we are in the desert. So in Lima rains almost nothing. We have very little amount of rain, about 1 cubic centimeter of rain per year. So, well, this amount of rain, so little, helps us to accumulate guano, because usually in the coast you have rain, so all the poop is washed out. But, we don't have that problem. So the accumulation of guano, and being this a great fertilizer, rich in nitrogen, in phosphorus, in potassium, makes it also, or make it back in time, a great alternative for like our economy. So in the 19th century, Peru made a lot of money thanks to that product. But at the time of the independence, because this boom of the guano happened in the 1850s, 1860s, it continued until the 1870s, until, well, we were in the war of the Pacific, involved in the war of the Pacific, the war between Peru, Chile, and Bolivia. And that really like made us, like destroy basically our economy again. But before the boom of the guano, and also to be able to get into that direction of independency, of self-control, well, and also being the nation we are nowadays, we needed the help of liberators. No? So the first character I would like to mention about is José de San Martín. Here you see this gentleman who was, by the way, Pisces. If you know, or you like to study the zodiac symbols or signs, you probably know a little bit about the characteristics of the Pisces. Let's say their temper, no? They are so like like they dream, no? They are dreaming all the time, and they don't want to be like tied with a cord, right? So this gentleman is the first of the characters we're going to mention today. Because of course, in chronological order, he was the first one of the two we're going to be mentioning. Simon Bolivar is the other one who came to Peru. So before I go in detail a bit more about elements related with his life here in Peru, a little close up to his statue. And here, let me read the legend that is here translated into English from the municipality of Pueblo Libre. Nowadays, this zone is named Pueblo Libre thanks to this man, by the way. Friendly reminder, Pueblo Libre, the town of the free. The city pays homage to this illustrious, important neighbor, because at the time he was also a neighbor of this district. The General Liberator José de San Martín, who immortalized the land that he passed across here in Peru under the name of the town of the free, Pueblo de los Libres. This is a statue from 2005. So we have such a relation with this character, no? Not just Peruvians, no? Like in particular here, these people of Pueblo Libre. José de San Martín comes to Peru in the year 1820, and he starts with a campaign for the independence from the Spanish. This man was a very interesting character. No? He went to Spain, he studied in Spain also. He was from Argentina originally. After his time in Spain and also returning to Argentina, he has this feeling, no, that things were not fair. The colonies or the Americas, Hispanic Americas, were not treated the right way. So he decides to fight against the Spanish. He also got married in Argentina to Remedios de la Escalada. And this lady was very young when they met. He was in his 30s and she was like 15 years old when they met for the first time. And well, their passion was immediate. He just took like 5 months to ask her to marry him. The relation of 11 years in total, because they were married 11 years until she passed away due to a disease. I'm not very sure which one it was, but she was a very ill lady. She was always sick. Well, it's 11 years sounds like a long time, but they were just 5 years together from the 11 years of marriage. So that also gave him opportunities to, like meet women on the way of his adventures. So well, his wife, his only wife, was Remedios. And also, well, when she passed away, and let me also show you a picture of her. So I have a picture somewhere here. And also, so there you have her. So pretty, so young also. So fair, by the way, like so interesting, seeing the ideals, the beauty ideals, the beauty standards of that time. So Remedios was Argentinian. She belonged to a very rich family, a noble family. And they had together one daughter. Tomasa was her name. So well, this girl also stayed the rest of her life with her dad because San Martin was able to live for a long time, actually, after the end of the liberation of South America, but he moved to France, to Paris. When his wife died, he returned to Argentina after his military campaign in Peru, and he decided to build for her a beautiful, let's say, like in the cemetery, a memorial for her, right? So this is the one that still is in the cemetery of Recoleta in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Okay, so, well, let me remove this picture. And, well, again, we can see this Generalissimo, General San Martin. So we know that San Martin, even though was a very quiet man. We know that he was an introvert. Interesting, no? For a general that needs, the skills of a Napoleon to move the masses, to move the people. He was an introvert. He really had a tough time in talking to people in public. But he was a very handsome gentleman, by the way. He was very, very handsome. He's always described like that. So, well, basically, he had also, so it doesn't matter how shy you can be, still men can be womanizers. I will do a little stop in my narrative, in my story, before we mention the lovers of San Martin, to mention this space here. This is the Boulevard del Criollismo, the Boulevard of Criollismo. And this boulevard was inspired in the Walk of Fame of California, no? Hollywood, I think, Walk of Fame. So we can see here these beautiful stars in the same fashion of the Walk of Fame in North America, with names of very important characters, singers, musicians, of the rhythm, the musical rhythm that is one of the most characteristic of Peru, the música criolla, or Creole music. All of these characters, or the most famous ones, are being commemorated also here with these different graffitis and murals dedicated to, for example, Augusto Polo Campos. And well, this place is always lively, and on the weekends we have always like people coming here to eat the Creole food, to listen to the Creole music in the bars that we have along this section. And especially, well, we come to this place for the commemoration of the Day of Creole Music, which is on October 31st. So the exact same day when the world is celebrating Halloween. Well, we also celebrate Halloween, but as well we celebrate the Day of the Creole Music. Okay, so well, and also look at this. I love these scenes over here. Well, over there, Chabuca Granda, one of the greatest singers, composers of this musical gender, Creole music. And we can see, oh, that's a very beautiful church. I think that church, I'm sure that's the church of Barranco. If you've been with me to Barranco, you probably seen this one here. Barranco is another district of Lima. And over there, we can see Felipe Pinglo, another of the voices of the Criollismo, and the jaranas, or the parties. The parties that were, let's say, sort of like celebrated in these modest homes of the people who were usually the ones who listened to the Creole music, which is a rhythm that is formed by the union of the Afro-Peruvian rhythms and also Spanish music and the European waltz. So all together created this musical style. So you can see the parties, you can see the dancing, you can see all the romance also there in that couple also dancing and enjoying this beautiful moment. Okay, so well, the Boulevard of the Criollismo was created in the year 2015, and as you can see, it's small, short and sweet. And this street used to be one of the roads to downtown Lima, to the historic center in the colonial times. So this was basically the street that in that direction where I'm pointing used to be the street that used to go to the historic center of Lima. So well, now we are in the main square of Pueblo Libre, the Plaza Principal de Pueblo Libre. So this square is also important because, well, it is located right next to the house where either San Martin and Bolivar live. So I was mentioning a bit about the love, let's say, the love relations of San Martin, the the first love of his life, and only wife Remedios, but also like these travelers, these men who were liberators. They travel everywhere. They were absent for long periods of time, and well, in those years of solitude, well, many of them were able to find comfort in the arms of other women. So San Martin had several lovers, so far we know. One of the most surprising lovers for me was very surprising was, for example, the maid of his wife, the mulata maid of his wife, Jesusa, was also a lover, or she's pointed to be one of his many lovers. He had also at least one more child than his daughter Tomasa, his legitimate daughter with his only wife, Remedios. And that baby boy, was product of a relation that he had with a woman that he met in Guayaquil when he went to meet Simon Bolivar. Okay. So, well, the most famous lover he had, and they lived together also here in this beautiful house. This is, by the way, the Quinta de los Libertadores. For many years, also home of the Museum of Archaeology, Anthropology, and History of Peru. So this is a beautiful building that is going to be closed ending this month for a long period of time for renovations inside. So that's very, very sad. This was the house of the Liberators. But before being the house of the Liberators was the house of Viceroy Pezuela, who is one of the last viceroys of our history, Spanish, let's say, governors. And well, this was his sort of like a summer retreat. So his main house was in downtown Lima. So basically, that is the entrance of the house. The other one is the museum. So once again, you can see here the entrance to the museum. But this is, let's say, for the Museum of Archaeology, the section of the Archaeology Anthropology. And this other section here is the old house entrance, and also is a part of the museum. Is more related with history, colonial, Republican, and more like present time contemporary history. The lover, the most famous lover he had, we're still talking about Liberator San Martin, was a Ecuadorian lady who lived with him in this house in Lima here. Rosa Campuzano is the name of this lady, of this woman. So Rosa Campuzano was also a married woman. He was married as well, so not a problem. And well, they had a very short but also intense romance. So Rosa Campuzano is described as a very elegant lady, refined, very beautiful, very fair, which is interesting because her mother was mulata. So probably she inherited more like a genetics from her father, but her mother was mulata. So she was descendant of a black, let's say, line from the mother's side. So, well, they didn't have children so far we know together, but she had a child right after he left Lima. I mean, like 9 months after he left Lima. So some people tended to call the son of Rosa Campuzano, remember, she was married still. She had a husband, but tended to call that baby boy the Generalito, or the little general. So, well, and we are also now coming to the other liberator, Simón Bolivar, and Simón Bolivar is probably the more famous than San Martin, especially because in more like recent times, contemporary times, for example, former president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, used a lot of the symbols related with Simón Bolivar to promote his, let's say, his power. No? So, well, Simón Bolivar, and let me also show you, I have a picture of them both. Just give me a second. So I have, okay, look at this. So I have an image of, on the left-hand side is José de San Martín, on the right-hand side is Simón Bolivar. So different temperaments. By the way, Bolivar was a Gemini. Well, I love to, like, I try to find like the zodiac signs. Sometimes they say something, sometimes they say nothing. But if you believe in that, well, so you can also see the opposites here. No? So Simon Bolivar had a very strong temper. He's usually referred as a South American Napoleon. No? And Napoleon was a very important figure in his life. He inspired him in so many ways. He was able to be in Paris at the time of the coronation of Napoleon. So probably for him, that was very inspirational. But also these two men were so different because, well, San Martin was interested in promoting a constitutional monarchy in the Americas, in the Hispanic Americas that were now free. Bolivar wanted to separate completely from any monarchical form of ruling, and he wanted to have well, more like nations, like with Congress and with let's say completely self-sufficient, right? So, well, we have like two completely opposed characters, no? So the lover of this man who lived with him, let me show you also another picture. Well, I have to mention not just the lover, also the wife. Why not? So there you have, first of all, his only wife. So in common, what they both had, these two historic figures, is that they were married once, and they were married with very young girls of high society as well. Also, María Teresa Rodríguez del Toro is the name of this lady. And, well, they were married just for 1 year. Imagine that, so sad, no? They were married in Spain, and when they traveled to Venezuela, because he was a landowner, he had a lot of slaves, by the way, also very common back then in that time. So when they came to Venezuela, she contracted a disease, which was yellow fever, and she died. So they were just 1 year together. She died like about when she was about 21 years old. So very, very sad. And he promised never marry again. Okay, and well, that he did. He never married again, and but he had a lot of lovers. We know that Simon Bolivar had no less than 40 lovers. And it's speculated that he had about 20 children, like natural. We call natural to the ones that are not recognized. So, well, and the children were really everywhere. Everywhere he traveled, he was. So this lady over here, Manuela Sáenz, or Manuelita Sáenz, also another Ecuadorian lady, met him here in Lima. So the story is like this, and let me also remove this picture so you can see also the house. Oh, I have another picture. Maybe you would like to see this one. It's a picture of the facada before the latest restoration of the facada. which really brought it to how it used to be in the time of the Liberators. So this is the previous design, more like a neo-colonial, like a very, very colonial style, pompous also. But this is not really the way how the house was. The house of the time of the Liberators was more like the one you see over there, okay? So we're talking about this important, let's say, character, Manuela Sanz. So what happens between Simon Bolivar and José de San Martín is really interesting. These people just met, these two characters, great characters of the history of South America, just met once, only once in Quito, sorry, in Guayaquil, in the coast of Ecuador. And they met, it was the year 1822. So San Martin was already here for about 2 years. And he realized that Lima was almost uncontrollable. Peru was almost uncontrollable. We were too inclined to the sort of like to the protection of Spain. We were very monarchical, basically, and we were almost in anarchy at the time we received the independence. So seems that San Martin traveled to meet Bolivar with the intention of asking him for help. And well, Bolivar, we don't know really what happened in that conversation, in that reunion they had, because it was completely secret and private. But seems that we can interpret that for what happened right after this reunion took place. Bolivar and San Martin didn't get along very well, or at least their plans were not the same. So finally, San Martin decides to retreat, like just go away from Peru. So in that way, he allowed Bolivar to come to the country, okay, and take control of what he already was ruling. His intention of San Martin was never to be a king or like a despot or a president even, no, of the country. He just wanted to, like do what his part was, which was work for the independence, and that's it. So when Simon Bolivar came to here to Lima, the story is very interesting because he's received like a savior. It was the year 1823, and well, in downtown Lima, the story says that he was in his horse, like a passing the street. We can imagine him passing the street, and Manuela Sanz was married also with a doctor, much older than her, a convenient marriage for her and the family of her, by the way, because she was also an illegitimate daughter. So she throws a beautiful, like a flower crown, big, like a circle, like has flowers in it. He throws it with the intention of throwing it to the floor for the horse of the Liberator to pass over it. But instead, it happened to get exactly in the head of the Liberator. So the Liberator like receives that decoration right to his head. He looks up and he sees her in a balcony. And immediately they fell in love. So this building you see here is where Manuela Sanz used to live, this house, when San Martin was here in the Quinta de los Libertadores, the house of the Liberators, because they were not married, so they couldn't live together per se. And Lima was a city of a lot of gossip, and like it was not necessary really to have any tabloids back then. For everybody knew what happened in the intimate lives of the rest. So we know that, of course, Manuela lived there at the daytime, but in the nighttime, she slept there. So they had a very interesting relation. Um, you can also find the letters they exchange online also. Oh my God, they are so intense. They are so full of love and passion. And she's so advanced to her time. Like she's so passionate. She left her husband the doctor, and the two children they had together for Bolivar. And Bolivar also, at least from the letters he exchanged with her, and the things like especially historians mention of that relation, he was very devoted to her the time they were together. She even saved her life, his life, sorry, once. So well, she was in a way also an active participant of the independence campaign, also by his side, supporting him. So, but they never had any kids together. They never had children. If you have to look for one of the letters of Manuela, I really recommend you to look for the letter she made for his her husband. Like when she decides not to go back to him. I mean, it's hilarious on one side. On the other side, if you were the man, the doctor, oh my God, that's horrible. But she's such a, like a, in a way also. Like a advanced figure for her time especially. So well, here we have, last but not least, coming to the last part of this event, a statue dedicated to Bolivar, the genius. So this statue was created partially with the support of Venezuela also. As you know, Venezuela is the homeland of Bolivar. Well, he didn't identify as Venezuelan. He belonged to the Gran Colombia, the Great Colombia, which was before being the Great Colombia, a viceroyalty, the viceroyalty of Granada. So, well, there you have the genius, el genio. He was indeed a military genius, but also, well, he was a great lover. So far, we know. So, well, and this is the plaza, the center of the plaza, the municipal plaza. So I really hope you enjoyed this walking with me in this part of the city. Look at this beautiful fountain. It's a fountain from the 1600s. So we have very few fountains of this kind in the city of Lima still standing. Also, if you would like to support my events, here in the chat, you have a link to donate if you wish to help me, do the let's say more of these events. I'm trying to copy. Sorry that I am stopping here for a little while. Okay, so I just resended this link. So, well, you can also help me in many different ways. You can help me commenting about this event. If you have something to say, share it in my social medias or wherever you find is more suiting. Also, you can donate and you can visit my YouTube channel if you wish. So let me flip the camera to my side so I can say bye to you all. So you can also go to my YouTube channel, Adventurous Travel Guide. Also, in the link you have here in the chat, you have access to my upcoming events. Tomorrow, I have one event from home. It's going to be about love in pre-Hispanic times. It's going to be so interesting. Love and sexuality. So it's for adults only. It's going to be tomorrow on World Virtual Tours. And well, I have some other events coming soon. So if you go to that link, please save that link so you can see my upcoming events. And well, last but not least, if I don't see you tomorrow, let me wish you a beautiful Valentine's Day. Enjoy with your loved ones, with your friends also. And thank you so much for spending an hour with me today. See, best to you all. Thank you so much.